Hey everybody, welcome back to another recap of 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way here on the Tube of You. We're on episode 2 of season 4. And for whatever reason, next week we get another couple. Because we got a new couple this week.
Yes, we do.
And when I tell you, each episode is just more layered than the last.
And we're only on number 2.
Only on number 2. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with the new couple, shall we?
Okay, Nicole and Mahmoud, or...
and Haish and Mahmoud.
Oh, I called her Twiggy and Girls. So...
Not... What? She looked like Haish, especially when she had that haircut.
Oh, I thought she looked like Twiggy. Remember when Twiggy used to be a judge on Top Model?
And Tyra brought her back. She was like the era of Twiggy. I was like, oh, when they was glamorizing and glorifying skinny people. But anyway, yeah, I guess she could be Twiggy Haish.
Twiggy Haish. Okay.
And she's very LA. That outfit, I was like,
I loved it. She was just like Harry Styles.
It was the most LA outfit ever.
Yeah. So she is a glamorous Uber driver or Uber delivery person. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, those type of things. But she's also...
Fuck you, Uber. Because you shut my shit down for no reason and refuse to go through the proper steps with me to set it back up. I didn't have no issue with no driver. I tip very well. What the fuck?
On the main show, we need to have a serious conversation about like delivery apps and things, and how I wish that businesses were empowered to have their own delivery again.
Because we can definitely, my adventures. I will have Ty go back and pull every clip of every DoorDash issue I've ever had live and direct in the middle of recording. Like, what? And it don't be me. It'd be like, this nigga stole my food. I'm watching this nigga steal my food.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and
anyway.
they'd be trying to lie and say, oh, it got timed out. No, it didn't. I'm watching you on the thing. And I'm like, you taking this home? Like, you took my food, bastard. Anyway.
I'll never forget the motherfucker who took my Chinese food to Queens. I watched them drive through Bushwick, Ridgewood, and to Queens.
Dumb far. Nowhere near where you live.
They were like, oh, these pork dumplings are mine, bitch. But anyway, back to pork dumplings. Mahmoud, who lives in Egypt.
Mahmoud lives in Egypt. Now, she's not just an Uber driver. She works 2 jobs, She is a... What is she? A vintage... I was about to sing
consignment specialist.
There you go. She goes to different flea markets and thrift stores, and she finds quality clothing and upsells them. Kind of like the girl that looked like Bobby Heenan over on Love After Lockup.
But for clothes.
But for clothes, right? Mm-hmm. So she originally from Iowa. She had a long backstory. Dude. Golly.
First of all, she's from the mountain snake people.
Where they use the word coon and they don't mean people.
And that may or may not be dinner.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. She went to school. She found her way out of, Western Appalachian country and found herself in college and, moving across the country at the speed of light and found herself in California.
Yep. She said, I'm going to FIT or whatever it is in LA.
Fit'em. Where what's her face
went?
Oh yeah,
Fit'em. You're right, it is Fit'em.
Well, Lauren Conrad went. So
a reference.
She happened to be on the interwebs and she was, feeling a little bit lonely and found a spiritual website because she she was looking for some fulfillment, as, typically white people are empty. And so she needed something to, fill her, space that one would call a soul.
She first realized she couldn't cut it in the fashion industry. She was like, I love clothes, but I'm too pussy for this energy. So she did an Eat, Pray, Love. Upon that Eat, Pray, Love, she said, I'm taking myself to Egypt for a retreat.
Yeah. And while she was in Egypt, she found her, a little boy named Mahmoud.
Mahmoud.
Or, again, girls. So.
I'm not calling him that.
They're about 12 years apart. You know who he looked like the boy from Pose.
Which one?
The one that the one that what's her face ended up with? Janet Mock.
No, he did not. He did not
Yes.
look like Poppy. Not
Yes,
Poppy.
he looks like
He did not look like Poppy.
He does.
No, they just had the same hair.
Or whatever. He looked like he would be on Post. So, we learn, of course,
Oh man, rest in
he.
peace,
Yeah. So, of course, like any type of scenario in this manner, he proposed after a few dates because that's what he does.
First of all, they met her last day. They spent the whole day together. She goes to the airport. He proposed on the phone. Then this bitch goes back 7 days after that conversation.
Yeah, and I'm like, how much do you make thrifting? Because Egypt is not, what they say in Belly, Africa, that's far. Like like, that's not a pretty, that's not a cheap ticket.
No,
That's not
girl.
something you can fly on
Especially
Southwest,
for you to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to Egypt today. Yeah, I'll be there in a week. Like, what?
No. So, she goes back and forth to Egypt and they eventually get married. She ain't tell nobody. She kept it on the hush hush. And after 2 months of marriage and living in Egypt, the Caucasia, jumped out and was like, I can't do this anymore.
Right. She was like, what? Cover my hair. And this is your fault, Queen, because you did not do your proper research upon going into somebody else's cultural realm.
That happens every season.
Time, every season, multiple couples.
And what pissed me off about her was I guess it's her passion, so that's why she's upset about it. But she was really strictly worried about her clothing and what to wear. And I was like, I get it, that's your art and that's how you live. But I also am like, there's way more things to unpack here and to work through before we talk about what's acceptable, to wear and not to wear in Egypt.
Well, she did say that her clothing / men have been the primary source of contention for all of their arguing. Because we also learned that this is her second time going to Egypt. She went and lived there and they were married and then she traveled back and forth. And then after 11 months, she asked him for a divorce, she said, because they were fighting constantly. And they were fighting because of their cultural differences. Her interactions with men that he did not feel were appropriate, even to the extent of her hugging his cousins or her own cousins. And also, she said, our main source of contention was my clothes. So I need to know if we're gonna work on this where we're not fighting all the time, I need to know what is not gonna be a trigger. And I think that's why there was so much emphasis on the clothing. But like you said, there's so much more to unpack because she
There's
goes,
more.
she tells her homegirls, she goes to meet her homegirls to be like, so just gonna let you all know I'm moving to Egypt in a week. They're like, what the fuck? The last time we talked,
We
you said
heard you was
getting a divorce, girl. Like, what?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I mean, we talked through it and like we gonna work on it and but you know, there's still some shit I don't like. Like, he doesn't like me dressing freely. He wants me to cover my hair. And I was like, all these very large things. Like,
Yeah, these are very things that are, you know, seemingly close to your identity.
right.
That you're having to mute or change that you don't necessarily want to. And I'm not going to lie to you, when her friends were like, what would he say if he saw you out here, you know, just drinking out in public with friends and at the fucking Rose Bowl in Pasadena? And both Kris and I looked at each other. I was like, well, y'all are drinking malt liquor outside on a corner, so I'd probably judge you too, even as an American.
I died when her friends was like, ooh, girl, that's strange. Even for
Stricter
Asian
than-
culture.
Yeah, that's stricter than Asians. I was like, whoa.
She's like,
yeah.
married cousins. I died. I ain't gonna hold
Right.
you. But, you know, and her friends they're like, she's secretive and she's weird. You know what I'm saying? And the bitch always pop up with something new. So she hips us to some fucked up white woman shit she did. So
Yes.
with them fighting constantly and all of that, you know, she goes back to America. And she's like, I want a divorce. We're not going to be together. Now, beforehand, because of like her struggle with adjusting to his culture, he actually agreed to apply for a visa to come to America so that, you know, they could do like a 50-50 situation. Well, when she decided she wouldn't be in a relationship no more, she asked him for a divorce. She canceled the paperwork on his visa, and then she blocked this nigga.
Well, I mean,
I know. I was like, I don't see the problem here. I'd be like, ooh, white women, man.
Yeah,
It's so
you'd be real
hard.
conflicted.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm like,
Oh.
man of color.
Yeah.
And you know, I hate that reference. But
Yeah.
man of color, white
Man.
woman, huh?
Misogyny. It's just
Right.
it's so
Like,
it's so much.
It's so layered.
So much.
I'm like, it's misogyny,
So
but it's
much.
cultural misogyny.
Yeah,
And bitch, you did
yeah.
go over there. It's not here. So,
Mhm.
you know, so
So-
many things, so many layers.
So they get on, you know, her friends keep asking the hard-hitting questions, and ultimately it sounds like that he wanted an Egyptian wife, and he just happened to be and end up with this white girl from Iowa. And you know, men have it like to think that they can change things too. You know, we always hear that adage how women always say like, "Oh, I can change him." No, men do the exact
They do the
same thing.
No, they did the same.
And yeah, and so anyway, they get on Skype. And he's, you know, in the bed, and she's, you know, she got a bob. Well, the bob is serious,
Oh,
right?
baby, it is Gigi good. It is.
Yeah. It's bobbing,
Sharp,
okay? Bobbiana.
What's that place in the mall? Sharp Cuts. It's
Yeah. Right. And so they get on Skype, and he gaslights her a bit, because he was like, fight? We don't fight. What are you talking about? Like, or if we do, it's
Right.
because of something you did.
Right, and I was like, and here's the
Yeah.
thing though, and this is where, you know, I don't like when y'all be making me defend white women, but the girl did say, this is my fault because
Mhm.
I didn't do my thorough research and ask enough questions and like have the necessary conversations before moving again. The problem is that you are taking accountability for this, but you're doing the exact same thing when you all still have not properly and fully worked through your cultural differences and the issues within your relationship. But he was definitely gaslighting her. He was like, nah, what you talking about? And yeah, it's you. Like, if you just switch this up, we'd be good.
And I also don't. He also gives me the type. Ooh, I don't want this to sound racist, but I'm not trying to be. So, I hate when on this show how the person who's in the foreign country, who we've already, and it's been demonstrated time and time again that they can clearly communicate in the same language as their other partner. Then all of a sudden, when things become a little too heated, or when it's becoming one side, it's like, I don't understand, it becomes real broken in how they communicate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It's like kids. When kids, like Noah's 9, right? But like when they get in trouble because they was doing some bullshit, and then you ask them, like, what's up with you? Like, why did you do that? Why you? No, nigga, because you be speaking to me with your whole chest every other time. So don't start with this baby shit now.
Yeah.
And you have the capability, you have the ability to do this thing. So I don't personally think that that's. I mean, granted, I'm American. I don't have a lot to stand on.
But that happens often sometimes because like you know how to communicate what you want and whatever. But then
it happens in so many different ways.
Yeah.
All the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, because I'm like always like, well, we're gonna be in a throuple with the translator then because we not gonna have, you know.
Hell, niggas do it in English. They do it in English. They be like, "What you I don't know what you talking about." I'm like, "Why you all of us? Why
all of us?" Anyway, yeah, that was them. She's struggling a lot, and
she's miserable. I don't care. That's literally my last note. She's miserable.
She's miserable, but she's got herself in this situation, and she feels as though she needs to see it through. So, I don't think that's what Elizabeth, whatever her name, wrote in Eat, Pray, Love. But okay.
No, I don't think that's how that's supposed to go.
Yeah, but that was them. Well.
Oh, let's do Gabriel, aka Miles from Blackish, and Isabel, because theirs was pretty short this week.
Okay. Short King and I don't have a name for her. I don't want to like she's just like model because she's so pretty.
She
like,
is.
And she's what I appreciate about this story is everybody is self-aware and there nobody is giving. However, Gabe is on some bullshit, but that has a lot to do with like emotions and him jumping in too quickly. That's
him. That's just him.
Yeah. That's just him. But we it's moving day, right? He's packing up all his things with his mama. And I didn't realize he hadn't told his mama that he was about to get married.
Right.
So he was like, so check it. What would you say if I moved there and I got married in like a week? And his mom was like, what you talking about, Willis?
Because even before that, she's like, she knew he was moving there. She knew he was moving there for Isabel. And she's like, yeah, I support you, whatever you want to do. I get it. Some shit has happened before, but like, I stand behind you and your decisions. It was very supportive. It's like, it's always been the three of us. I'm going to miss you, but da-da-da. And then he was like, yeah, we're going to get married, though. And she's like, skirt, nigga. Why marriage?
Yeah. When everybody doesn't think on all the Matt Sharp shows, everybody has to rush to get married. And it's just like, you don't have to. And it's like, yes, I get it. Your visa expires in like...
I get it more for 90 Day Fiancé than I get it for Love After Lockup. Well, I get it for Love After Lockup when people are trying to move into different places and things like that. But even then, half of y'all are dysfunctional, so you don't need to be doing this shit in the first fucking place. But
yeah, I don't need it.
For them, they seem healthy, and as the episode went on, as we'll continue to talk about, I didn't get a lot of alarming things.
Yeah, no, neither did I. We meet Isabel, and she's very pleasant. It opens with her playing Nerf guns with her kids.
Yeah.
I also picked up that she has friend kids, but that's also because she had her kids very early.
17. I mean, it's only natural.
Yeah. So she tells us her backstory, and so she, like we said, she had kids very young at 17, and the first child's father was, as soon as she found out that she was pregnant, he bounced like Olivia, and the second baby daddy was very abusive, and
old.
so with the help of her parents, she, escaped Witch Mountain, and she was just living her life. People, you could get away with smoking on YouTube. Remember I told you? Did I show you the whole video where they had a challenge of people, like this couple got high together?
No.
And then there was this father son that got high together.
No.
I think it's with the cut. Yeah.
I'd
And
love
it's like
to
the first
watch
time
that.
getting high. Yeah, it's a good time. So smoke on, friend.
Okay.
So they she finally meets Gabe, and she's like, in love and stuff. So she's nervous about the relationship because of her past, but she is hopeful.
Yes.
So we get to her and her daughter.
I also appreciate the fact that she had him form a relationship with her kids before. Like, he visited multiple times. He was saying, that's why he was saying to his mother, he's like, I've run out half of my visa visiting, because he has formed a relationship with her kids and all of that before he's moving into the home. This is how you do it.
Yeah, exactly. Engender a relationship with the kids. Make sure shit is, good, because they're the most important thing,
And that they feel good about the decision as well.
Exactly. They should be included, So, her and her daughter friend, Sarah, go to the skate park, and they skate and, having a good time and stuff.
They're dancing.
Oh yeah, dancing. And so they have a sit down and chat, and we learn that Sarah, she cool with it. We learn also that she found Gabe's Instagram, and that's kind of how she initially discovered that he was trans.
Yes.
And he came out and said, "Hey, if you find my Instagram," even though she already found it, she was like, "If you found my Instagram, I'm trans. Hopefully this is not a problem."
His journey and all of that.
And Isabel was like, "I have questions." Not gonna lie to you, because human nature. And then she got over it. She was like, oh, "Okay, cool, whatever." Same thing with the daughter.
And the daughter had me cracking up, because the daughter was like, well, all her ex-boyfriends have been sexist and egregious, okay? And so therefore
machismo.
She's like, I did not like, they were rude and they were sexist, and I didn't like any of them, and we didn't get along. And she was like, and Gabe came along, and he was respectful, and he loved me and my brother, and he treated my mom well, and I was cool. I was good.
So she's on board. They also haven't told the young son Miguel yet, because he's 11, and that's a little bit more of a complex concept for him to handle right now. But they do plan on telling him in the best way that they know how. The only problem is what Gabe talked about last episode, is telling her parents.
Yeah.
And her daddy's a little bit conservative. So, however, we do know that Gabe and her family are like, loving each other more than peanut butter. So hopefully this doesn't sully anything.
Hopefully so.
I hope. I hope it don't.
I do too. I hope that the drama is in the build up, and that it's more of an accepting relationship. Especially because the kids feel good and feel safe, and I hope that how this is gonna go, but we'll see.
Yeah, that was fun. Where are we going to next?
I think we should go to Kris and Jeymi.
Oh, my fave. Not everybody else, but Jeymi.
Yeah, and Kris is. I started calling her proud lesbiana and toil in trouble or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, she gives
Very
this.
witchy.
You know what I mean?
Ooh, we'll call her Sanderson sister.
Yeah, like it's very much like, you know,
my
Hocus
first
Pocus
note
1,
was,
not
I was
2.
like, she really thinks she's 20, huh?
Yeah.
She really thinks she looks 20. And that's so
That's the thing.
That's
you could be
that's
internally.
what it really is. She really thinks she looks 20. Not her youthful JoJo Siwa spirit.
Although that's a little bit of a problem.
Yes,
too.
I have that, and I was, but that's not even the biggest. It's the fact that you think that you look 20, and it's one of those things where I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of Seinfeld where he was dating that lady, and like she looked different in different lights. So sometimes she was really pretty, and then in certain lights it was
every
all
time
like,
he was at when they were at the diner.
So he would only take her to the diner because he knew it was a good light. I was like, sometimes that light would hit, it would hit Sanderson's sister, and it would be like, woo! This is
Ooh, damn nature, you scary.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very that.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I agree. So, Kris is moving in 9 days and they're about to get married. I have to call her what she calls her.
No, she's not.
She got the accent.
Oh my god.
So, they're on Skype. They're talking, about we're getting married in 9 days. Nothing really happened, so we're catching up. Blah, 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 blah.
I have to keep reminding myself that they've never met in person.
No, they have not met in person. Mm-hmm. I have that written down about 5 times here because I forgot because of how Jeymi is super confident in this relationship, and she's like, yes, girl, I'm getting married today. She's like, my woman, my woman, my woman kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's moving day. And so Kris is on her way with her kids from Riverdale because all her kids look like they're in Archie comics.
Oh my God,
especially the son who is driving. Don't he look like he go to Riverdale High?
He does. I was calling them Freeform, but that also makes so much sense.
Yeah, I want to call one of them Biff. Yeah. See, kids, back in the old days, before Riverdale was a show on CW, there used to be a comic series called Archie Comics, and they used to sell it at the grocery store.
And then sometimes
a grocery store is where you would go and buy food.
And you have to get checked out by a person and not by a computer, like Amazon Prime stores, which freak me the fuck out.
I forgot to tell you. Oh my gosh. I'm glad this is on a public forum. I went to the Amazon Style store.
The what?
Here in California. There's only 2 Amazon fashion stores. There's one in Ohio randomly and one in California. So, and when I tell you, it is the coolest store. And it is the most pleasant shopping experience I've ever had. So here's what it is. Instead of having multiple things of the inventory, say you have a pair of jeans and they have all the sizes, they have one pair. And you scan it with your Amazon app, and it'll take you to the styles, the sizes, and then it'll say, do you want to try it on, or do you want to send it to the register? You could send it to try it on. They'll be waiting for you in the room that's designated for you. So there's 40 dressing rooms. So when you get there, your shit is already in there because they have a fulfillment center inside the store. So Kris got shoes, he went to the thing, scanned them, and about 3 minutes later they were at the register. Genius. Don't have to carry shit around or anything. You don't even have to, you could pay with your Amazon app. You didn't even have to take a card out. I'm telling you, it's great. And then the Amazon Go store, you just kind of just take what you want and leave.
Which is cutting down on the jobs for people like Barbara Jean. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it is. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying it was a pleasant experience.
About that AI.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible where we're moving towards, but I also believe that was a fabulous shopping experience. I can't deny that.
You're like both and.
Yeah, exactly. I told you, I'm not a part of the solution. I'm not a part of the problem. I'm just not a part of the solution.
That's fair.
It's not like I didn't even buy anything. I just went inside.
Right.
I didn't support.
I didn't buy a cheeseburger. I just crossed the picket line.
Yeah. So while she's on her way to the airport, she's talking about how she's nervous and hopefully the sexual chemistry is right and not worried about anything else. But
she's like, I want to make sure these coochies fit together like the proper puzzle pieces.
Okay. These lips fit together. Okay. So
I want to lie because my lips don't lie.
So, her kids drop her off at the airport. And they leave and whatever.
She's crying.
Right?
They're not. They're like, this
they're
girl's
not.
crazy. They're like, she's going to meet somebody and marry she ain't never known before. Like, good luck, Chuck. It was very bad.
Yeah, whatever. But to the better part of the couple, Jeymi, right? So Jeymi was having a day of beauty.
Baby, she went over to Revelations, I think is what it's called, so that she'd get her hair done by Colombian peaches.
She went to go sit with her home vase, who she met back in the Gap in Venezuela when she was modeling.
They was the peaches and Rodney to her Maya.
Exactly. Yes, exactly that. Peaches and Rodney. Colombian Peaches and Rodney, right? So yeah, her home days, they're just like, yeah, it's good, okay. And so they, she's telling them the whole business. I find that it's so interesting that these are supposed to be their closest friends and they don't ever know what's going on with them.
Well,
as far as like getting married.
Only one has been explained. One of them was like, she's sneaky. So
yeah,
for AH, they were like, she's sneaky, and she always been sneaky. But for this one here, I don't know if they don't talk often or what. I feel
like she tells her business to. She just tells her business, not because she's messy, just because she's just so free spirited,
Jeymi,
loving.
I know.
And
she's like, what? I know, like, man, like, you know, Jeymi just be living. Child.
Let us know, queen. Right. So, you know, her home days, they were just like, you know, we don't do you up. But they had genuine concerns when she brought up that, you know, Kris engages in disappearing acts.
Yep.
And, you know, and they talk about, you know, when she ghosted her and then how Jeymi found the other little girl in Texas. And they were like, well, do you still love her? And they were like, no. Like, she was just somebody I was kicking it with in the interim until Kris got her life together. But I did think it was fucked up that she abandoned Jeymi when her grandmother died.
I thought so too. And we still, again, have not gotten complete, clear confirmation as to what she was dealing with. I don't know if it was part of her health stuff because they talked a little bit more about the concerns around her narcolepsy. Jeymi expressed concerns to Peaches and Rodney about her narcolepsy. She's like, yeah, she didn't fell asleep on the phone before, but like it's a whole different beast when you're in person, you know, which is valid. You know, that's a big thing. That's not something that we've seen it before. So, so you know, she has valid concerns, but also she's really excited and she really loves this witchy lady's face and you know, we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah. That's all I got for them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to let's go on to Rishi and Jen.
Oh, Walter Mercado.
Yeah. Samit 2.0 and I also have named her Dudley Do-Right because she looks exactly like Dudley Do-Right. They is on a farm. It really looked like the opening of Roseanne. You know, the sequence where they were all sitting at the table. It's like like it was at the end. So they all at the table with her mama and brother and sister-in-law.
Because
That's exactly what it looked like.
I'm thinking about the one where it was like later in the season where it did like all the different seasons of Rose.
Yeah, they morphed. And the shady part is when they moved the Beckys back. And it was like the old Becky, new Becky, old Becky.
I know, because it was like the little evolution
tape. Like the black or white more. Yeah.
Ooh, I forgot about that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, she's moving to India next week. And they're all having dinner. And, you know, it comes out that Rishi's parents don't know about Jen.
And baby, let me tell you how the piano music, it was brr, because the family is tight knit. She's like close with her brother, her sister-in-law, her mother. Her mother's supportive of her. Her mother's like, I've always known she's a free spirit. I always knew she was gonna go elsewhere. She's been traveling. She was 10. Like, this is in her. I support her. Whatever she wants to do. She wants to do this for love. I support it. It was only when she was like, her sister-in-law was like, so how's his family feel? Because you're not Indian. And she was like, so about that.
They don't. Right. They don't. In actuality, he introduced her as a friend.
The same as Jenny and Samit. Remember, Jenny was his little friend from Facebook who came and wanted to explore India.
That's how gays relate, because we all always introduced you as a friend. You know, oh, that's my friend.
I can't. You know, on this one, I'm just gonna have to say that is an across the board thing, because uppity niggas will do the same. Oh, that's his friend. It's like, girl, call it what it is. Your son and that girl are fucking and in a relationship.
Right, exactly. So, and it was also answered. Remember, we were like, is he have like an arranged marriage or something? And it was told to us that he's allowed to choose his own life, of course, with the parental approval, obviously. So she goes out with her friends. And I gotta tell you, her friends are mean. And not in the supportive way where you were like, let's gather, you know, because you're making a stupid decision. But also like, hold on a minute, bitch. Like, who are you? And then later on, when they do what happens, and she was like, well, why were you responding to a very attractive woman? And I was like, we think highly of ourselves, friends.
So,
I
want to challenge you. Only because what her friends gave me, it didn't give me mean. And we've seen some bitches on this show. Yeah. It didn't give me mean. It gave me protective and fed up. It gave me, I have seen you make the same mistake in the same way, or I've seen you repeat the same patterns in relationships time and time again, and they always work against you, and you're repeating these same patterns now. And it's like, girl, we've seen this with multiple niggas. So at this point, like, you gonna keep doing the same shit. And you know, there too have been times where I might have had a friend who had repeated patterns. Had a stranger tuned into the conversation, they might have said, God damn. But also, it's because you watch these people do the same shit over and over. And then it don't just be the same. It don't just be them doing the same shit. Then they always come back with the tears or with the, oh, well, this happened, and let me tell you what happened. And you just be sitting there like supportive friend, like, oh, man, yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. All right, well, let's talk through it. And by the time they come around with the third, fourth nigga with the same story, it's like, when the fuck? So now I thought that their ages were too big to be trying to catfish somebody. And it's clear your friend wants to be willfully ignorant and don't want to see shit. So at that point, I don't know why you going mad hard, but that's what they gave.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay, I guess I could see it that way. However, the response I didn't like. So the next day. So when they were at dinner and they were gathering her, they came up with this idea of let's catfish him, or let's hit up Rishi and see if he responds. If he responds, then he's talking to other women, and you know that he's awful and a liar and a cheat. So the one that had the most to say ended up sending him the message. Not a fake profile, it was just her. Right? A couple days later, Jen is on FaceTime with her homegirl. And she was like, oh, he responded to my message. And she was like, oh, well, what did he say? He didn't say anything incriminating. All he said was, hey, hello. And she was like, I think you're really attractive. And he's like, thank you. Do I know you? She's like, no, I just see you from the internet. Oh, okay. Where are you from? I'm in London right now. No other response after that. Mm-hmm. Now, the friend's argument was he shouldn't be responding to anybody, period. Especially an attractive woman like her.
He doesn't have any evidence of her existence on his social media, and his social media is, according to them, popular.
I mean, yeah, I guess. People want to be claimed on social media so bad, and I whatever.
I do find I'm keeping funky with you, and I do agree with you, but I do find it weird sometimes where you will see a couple where one is like, and the other one is like, I would have never known this person was in your life ever, like literally ever. Yeah. So I'm not saying that anybody, you have to go parading your whatever on social media. I don't think anybody should be obligated to that. It's just, it is a little strange when there's literally zero physical. I mean, unless it's like a straight up and down work page or some shit like that, I get it.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
But it's this is his page. This is just his shit.
Right. So, any damn way, Jen doesn't feel like there's anything that incriminating, and why her friend is so upset. Like, she doesn't see it. She does raise her eyebrow a little. She raises her eyebrow just a little bit, but even me, I don't see. This wasn't a red flag to me. The red flag was the family and not knowing, because now you're entering in an unsafe situation. The other girls or whatever, I mean, okay,
but it was interesting though, because earlier she told her homegirl, she was like, well, they were like, well, he don't have no evidence of you whatsoever on his page. Like, there is no, like, not a whisper, bitch. And she was like, oh, okay, well, and they were like, and he got mad followers, and she was like, oh, he does? So we find out that in the past, she has allegedly made had large reactions to things she didn't like on her ex-partner's different ones social medias. And so in this relationship, she made a promise to herself that she was actually not going to follow or engage his social media. But it's not just that, it's also that when the homegirl came to her and she was like, oh, well, there was nothing incriminating anyway, so she doesn't want to see any red flags.
No, she doesn't. And right now, the only red flags that I can see is his pompous attitude and his family not
and the fact that he hasn't told his family.
Yeah. So that, and her friend is also stupid because she sounded like a bot when she was writing the message. I think you're attractive.
I know. Like, of you're course, not even putting no seasoning on it, like, bitch.
Yeah. Is that how white women pick up other people?
You said what?
Is that how white women flirt?
How would I know?
I don't know. Maybe sound off in the comments below. We don't know.
I don't think a white woman has ever. No, that's not true. A white woman has flirted with me before, but I mean, I knew it, so I can't say for the masses.
I don't. I can't recall it. That maybe in like grammar school, but like. Oh, but otherwise,
It's not a regular
no.
enough occurrence for me to be able to validate that.
Yeah, same as these. But that was them. So finally, we are with Danielle and Yohan.
Whip. White Ifa priestess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I know Black Papi.
And I know Black Papi.
Yeah. Now, I was very conflicted here. Because it was like, I get her, but I also understand him.
And I didn't like her approach, so.
I didn't either. She wasn't wrong.
No.
But she also wasn't right in her approach.
No.
And so, alright. So they pull up to the crib with the ceiling missing and greets his family. There's 16 people that live in that house. So, goodness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But everybody loves her and they you know, they get along well and all that good stuff, right? So, you know, she engages with the family, and of course this New York thing comes up because that's a major storyline for them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's dead set on moving back to New York. Like, that's all he talks about. It's his dream. It's blah, 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 blah. So he's just kind of like, all right, fine. We'll stay here. If it's good and we're making money and moves and stuff, then it doesn't make sense to move to New York, then we won't.
Right.
However, if shit ain't popping like it's supposed to, then we out.
That's it.
So she was like, that's fair, even though she's not going to agree to that for real, mm-hmm. But she just told him that. Mm-hmm. So, she's only there for a week, mm-hmm. and she's going to go check in a hotel for them because it's too hot and they need some comfort and they need some alone time. Mm-hmm. She has a 10-step skin routine. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, as a woman of her age and of her race, the skin is taut and, you know, dewy. I appreciate it. So I get why she does the skin routine. She just needs to be a little bit more realistic because of the fact that you are not at home and you don't have these amenities at will.
I don't think she does as much while she's there. She said it because of lack of space and all of that. But also, like, she goes back and, like, the way she speaks irritates me, right? Because it's like, I want to live in DR. I don't want to take care of all of the bills. I want to make sure we have a large enough apartment with a big bathroom where I can fit a small refrigerator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She has Western dreams.
And ideologies.
She has an ideology. Well, let me even say Western. She has American dreams and ideologies in a Caribbean place. Mm-hmm. And those things don't necessarily match up all the time.
You don't want to move to New York because it's too expensive to live, but really you don't want to move to New York because you don't want to live in New York anymore. But you keep using this argument that you don't want to move there because it's too expensive to live. He's telling you his resources are only going to go but so far in DR. But whatever, you want to do what you want to do, bet. You want to live up to a certain standard. It's clear that he can only do but so much. He's still living at home with his very large family, 10 nephews, 2 sisters, mother and father, and a brother. Like, he's living at home, but all of a sudden you want to move to DR. You want to get a large, nice apartment with a large bathroom. You want him to contribute to this rent. You don't want him to be able to go and figure out if there are other things for him to be able to do elsewhere, experience something different for himself, because you're ready to experience something different. Like, mm-hmm. Bitch, what? I fucking hate her.
Right. So, the next day, they go to a butcher shop. But it happens to be Yohan's butcher shop.
He opened it.
You know? Yeah, he just opened it. It's not the most sanitary place, I'm gonna be honest with you. because I kept chuckling every time they swatted them flies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how meat markets in other countries are, because I've never experienced them.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is that describe the setting. They go in the butcher shop and there's just meat on the counter. Not in a display case, but just on the counter, just meat. And so there's flies and a whole bunch of other things just flying all over it. And so they have like this little fly swatter thing or whatever. And so the odd thing is that there's deep freezers and refrigerators in the back. And his rationale is, well, everybody in DR sells their meat this way, and this is how we display the meat so you know what we have for sale. And so Danielle is like, this is how people get sick.
And I think she said something to the effect of, that's why I've gotten sick so many times coming.
Yeah.
Which, listen, here's the thing. Americans get sick when they go to Mexico if they consume water or certain things, right? Like, our different other people come here and get sick because our food is full of pesticides and chemicals and poison. Like,
absolutely,
everybody's bodies adjust to where they live, right? You go to the Caribbean, you're gonna see more flies than you're going to see here. Yeah. It's something that you can't control in certain areas. And it doesn't mean it's dirty or it's poor. It's just like, this is outside. There's only but so much. You can't control shit outside but so much. The meat on the counter. Like, I don't love the fly thing, but also I was like, I've seen it. I know the Caribbean has stuff is outside. Like, you can only do but so much. But the lack of refrigeration gave me pause.
Yeah, that's what it was. That and what we learned later about he doesn't have a hit and a half what he's doing about running a business.
Yeah.
So that was a pause with the lack of refrigeration. And so not only is she taken aback by that, she's like, well, how much are you spending? Like, where are your books and stuff? Mm-hmm. And so he's like a list, and so he shows her. And so she's like, I have software that'll help you get your business off the ground or whatever. So this heifer introduces him to Quicken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to be fair, she does run her own business in New York, her little wellness business or whatever. So she has a little bit of idea what she's talking about. And the things that she were saying were true. It's just how she communicated them out of her frustration was not the best.
You don't walk into the business the very first time. You're seeing it when somebody is
this shit is trash.
So happy to show you what they've built, and the first thing you do is step up in the spot and start criticizing all. That's not how you do that. You go in. I'm not saying be fake. Go in, give them their just due for even making the attempt to do this thing, and then try to form and sit down and have a constructive conversation where somebody might be able to hear where you're coming from later on.
Yeah. Right, because she shot all over the place.
Baby came in like Hurricane Hunky and just literally, oh, well, this is filthy, ew, I can't stand the smell. Do you even have, let me see your receipts. And I'm just like, right. If he kicked you in the chest right now, no, take that out.
Yeah, I just think her approach was super wrong. She's been shitting on him the whole time she's been there. Like, he just needs, even though he's a little sensitive, but he just needs a little bit of, like, damn, I want to hear that I did a good job.
That bitch came in and said he runs his business the way I would run a lemonade stand. Like, she is disrespectful. She says disrespectful shit. It is not constructive.
Yeah. It wasn't constructive. However, and she wasn't entirely wrong.
No.
Because what happens is he's investing all of his money from his hotel gig into the butcher shop but he's bleeding more money than what he's earning at the hotel. So this is just how he's managing is just weird. And so he's just like, you don't understand. And she's not necessarily the best teacher in trying to help him understand, which I find it interesting because of the fact that, girl, aren't you a teacher? So
I think it's the language barrier at times.
That too.
But also, no, she doesn't have an effective. She doesn't have an effective like demeanor in teaching. Like she's condescending. No. She's impatient. She's curt. Like she's just not. Yeah. She ain't it for that.
Yeah. So now he's in his feelings and he wants to shut the business down, and she just kind of walks away because she gets frustrated because he can't answer certain questions. And it's like, girl, this ain't Shark Tank. Like, you don't need to know his customer acquisition, or like edible. Like, girl, it's just, he sells meat.
And who said you gotta go get the computer and do this shit right now?
Right, Mama went down the dirt road and brought her MacBook.
Did.
Like, girl, and got to work. I do like her little thing on her MacBook though. That was cute. But other than that, I was like, ooh, a little, Western Starry Night type of thing.
He's feeling hella discouraged though, and listen, I get it. When you marry somebody, you do acquire their debt. But again, there are ways for us to communicate and move forward in partnership where it don't have to be that.
No. Well, friends, that was the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Tune in next week where we introduce Tabby Faye Baker.
I cannot wait.
Yes, I'm thoroughly excited. She said, who cares if he's 26? I'm old.
Like, bitch,
Let me have my fun. It was like, period. I get it. Just don't get hurt.
To see her. I cannot wait.
Right. So until then, next America and everybody else in the world. Bye.
Bye. If for whatever god-awful reason you want more Jade and XD, make sure you subscribe to us on Patreon.